All right, let's talk about my favorite thing to talk about each and every week. Not really. I just like doing reactions to things. So Monday Night Football happened last night. It was so funny. This game was being talked about being flexed out. And if this ended up being a game that was played on Sunday, the same statistics, the same score, it would be very funny because it was actually a highly entertaining game. Jameis Winston, 497, 4 touchdowns, 3 picks. I'll get into the Broncos in just a second here. But I wanted to say something out loud that I tweeted last night. You can follow me on all social media platforms. I've made it easy for you at Ben Garcia Show, BenGarciaShow, Ben Garcia Show. All social media platforms, you can find me there. But it was very funny. I tweeted out last night. If you wanted to see why Jameis Winston was the number 1 overall pick years ago, watch this game. If you want to see why it never worked out, also watch this game. Tonight was the epitome of Jameis Winston as a quarterback in the NFL. The highest of highs, the lowest of lows. Almost Sam Darnold-esque. Where Sam Darnold has gotten the turnovers kind of coached out of him. Jameis Winston still hasn't had those. The last interception I thought was the worst of all the other ones. He threw the ball right to the linebacker. But still, if you can have a backup quarterback on your team, Jameis Winston is still that guy because he can come in and he can be very viable at the quarterback position, but also be the reason why you lose games. Now, that's enough for the Browns. Also, Jerry Jeudy has really kind of exploded. I know people were talking about last night and him having 235 yards receiving, but since Jameis Winston's come in, Jerry Jeudy's been really good. I cannot believe it took this long for the Cleveland Browns to make a change at the quarterback position. It was so obvious Deshaun Watson might be the worst quarterback in the NFL. He's cooked, both mentally and physically. He's terrible. He is terrible. Don't even talk about the horrific things off the field. I don't want to say I don't care about that because obviously I do, but just in this conversation, just leave it to the side. He is like an awful quarterback. He is the worst quarterback in the NFL. I cannot believe it took this long to put literally anyone in that position with Deshaun Watson on. Clearly they had to with the injury to Deshaun Watson. I believe his Achilles. They're like a 10 times better offense. Now, it's not even saying that I'm not even saying they're top 15 offense. But they went from the worst offense in the NFL with Deshaun Watson to, 25th. Best, is the highest jump just by switching quarterbacks. So Deshaun Watson is so awful, and Jameis Winston is the roller coaster and the gift that keeps on bringing. Let's jump over to the Denver Broncos. People are giving a lot of praise to Bo Nix, and I have done that also. It was so funny. A couple weeks ago, I said, all right, let's hold off on Bo Nix. We're not sure yet. And now I'm like, yeah, Bo Nix reminds me a lot of Drew Brees. I'm not comping him to Drew Brees. It's the most accurate quarterback ever. One of the best quarterbacks ever. Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP. Bo Nix does not touch Drew Brees right now. But similar play styles, and I think he just works well with Sean Payton. And kind of moving that over, Sean Payton deserves all the credit for this Denver Broncos team. I mean, all the credit. I thought for a little bit there, he might have been the game, I don't want to say washed, because how could he be washed as the head coach? But there was a second there where I thought, man, Sean Payton, is the game passing him by? It feels like the game is passing him by. It feels like these newer offenses, these younger head coaches are kind of passing by Sean Payton. It's not true. Sean Payton has coached the hell out of this Denver Broncos team, and he deserves all the credit. They are now 8-5. They are going to make the playoffs. They've got to win basically 2 of their last 4 games, 1 of their last 4 potentially, and still get in. This is a good team with not a lot of great talent, and it shows a lot about a head coach. That you can get more out of less. If you can do that, you're a good head coach. Sean Payton, with Marvin Mims, with Cortland Sutton, who's obviously a very good wide receiver, Troy Franklin, the rookie, Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, and Audric Estime, I think is his name. He's taking those guys and taking them to 8-5. And not to mention Bo Nix, who wasn't particularly great last night. Do not get it twisted. He had one really long touchdown for 92 yards. You take that away, he barely threw over 200 yards, had a touchdown, or he wouldn't have had a touchdown. 2 picks. He wasn't amazing last night, but he was really good when it mattered. And I think situationally, half to half, quarter to quarter, that's what matters, especially in Sean Payton's offense. And Payton has continuously turned around this team, and people have talked about Mike Tomlin for Coach of the Year. People have talked about, Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the year, and the Cardinals potentially Coach of the Year. If I had a Coach of the Year vote, it would go to Sean Payton. This team is not very talented. Even on defense, Zach Allen's been pretty good, and Patrick Surtain's pretty good, but outside of a couple of pieces, they're not exactly a star-studded defense. This whole roster needs still a makeover. They need to fix some of the positions on this team. They don't have a star receiver, although Courtland Sutton's pretty close. Bo Nix is a rookie. They have no running game week to week. Julio McLaughlin was good last night, but any one of their running backs aren't necessarily explosive or very good. Sean Payton has taken this offense that lacks weapons, this offense that lacks stars, and has turned them into a competent, capable offense who moves the ball week to week with efficiency. And scoring 41 points last night, I understand some of that came from the defensive side of the ball, 14 of it, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there's a better head coaching job in the NFL. I would vote him Coach of the Year. And I understand their schedule has been fairly favorable, but you still have to win those games. And those games were just as favorable to their opponents as they were for the Broncos to whoever they were playing. The Broncos were seen at the beginning of the year, even to me, as a team that was no way making the playoffs. But with a rookie quarterback, with effectively no running game, let's be honest, even if Julio McLaughlin was good last night, and some receivers who, outside of Courtland Sutton, lack juice and lack talent, Sean Payton is coaching his arse off and continuously winning games. And I think that's even a better coaching job and more deserving of Coach of the Year than a Mike Tomlin or anyone else in the NFL. The ability to do more with less continues to matter to me. And Sean Payton has shown that not only is he still a very good head coach, he's still at the top of the echelon of head coaches. Up there with the Kyle Shanahans, up there with the Andy Reids, up there with all those really good head coaches. Kevin O'Connell, Sean Payton is in that tier. And he's showing that this year. And he's having that renaissance. And I firmly did not see that coming. I thought the game might have passed him by. I thought these younger head coaches might have been more efficient or more sleeker or smarter when it comes to scheming up offenses. It's not the case. Sean Payton has completely turned this team around. And even last year, Russell Wilson wasn't terrible. He wasn't the same guy, but his statistics were still pretty good. And I think once you hand him Bo Nix, and I think it's a great way to kind of turn to this topic, is wow. Bo Nix just fits so much better with Sean Payton than Russell Wilson ever was going to do. Russell Wilson is a rah-rah guy, a cheesy player, and a little cringy at times. And when he got yelled at by Sean Payton, it was embarrassing to the national audience who saw that on every newspaper, who saw that on every TV. When Bo Nix got screamed at by Sean Payton, he matched his energy. What did Sean Payton say? God, I love it. Relationships matter so much in the NFL. It's why I'm not big on Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts, because I know they don't like each other. That's been wildly reported and wildly speculated over the past couple of weeks, days, months. It matters. And Sean Payton and Bo Nix just works. I don't know what the pinnacle of this is going to be. I still have my worries about the physical limitations of Bo Nix, but this combination just works. And credit to Sean Payton for turning this team around, and credit to Bo Nix for stepping into his own and being not only mature on the field, but off the field. And he reminds me a lot of Drew Brees. Not the biggest arm, not the fastest player, not the most athletic, relies on old school things like accuracy and his brain and his ability to see the field really, really well and match the energy of Sean Payton on and off the field, I love it. It's all Drew Brees-esque. He is not Drew Brees. That is light years away. But he does have some of those characteristics both on the field and off the field that do remind you of that. And Sean Payton, I think, knows that as well. And that is a great place to be if you are the Denver Broncos. A match made in heaven, not only personality-wise, but skill set-wise for Sean Payton and Bo Nix. Credit to Bo Nix for continuously proving everyone like myself wrong who was worried about the physical limitations and the fact that it didn't work out at Auburn. I thought a lot of his success was just the shield that was the Oregon football program. It's just not true. Sean Payton's been good. Bo Nix has been good. And those two deserve all of the credit for that. So credit to them. Credit to Payton. Credit to Bo Nix. Good for the Denver Broncos. They're going to make the playoffs now. I don't know how far they can go. They're not going to host a playoff game. They're going to have to go on the road. They're going to be a 5, 6, 7 seed. Probably the 6 or 7 seed. Probably not 5. Probably not 7. Probably at the 6 seed spot. I don't know how far they're going to go, but this is an absurdly good spot to be if you are the Denver Broncos, and an absurdly good spot to be where it just goes to show you. Do not be afraid to turn things around in an instant. Get rid of Russell Wilson, realize you don't have the guy, take a big swing, bring in Bo Nix, and then be an effective offense and get back on the road, and that's what's so great about the NFL. It's what's so great about the NFL. Turning it around is not that difficult. So, good for Bo Nix. Good for the fans of Denver, and good for Sean Payton. This team's going to be very good for years to come.